Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Tell he Hank with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS's on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May, just caught a touchdown.
A convicted killer and former gang member is offering to help break the strong gang ties in Omaha.
Our Brian Mastery first spoke to the man right before his release from jail. And tonight, Aaron Murray checks to see if he's keeping his promise.
He's also on the board of first responders.
Inside the Omaha 360 meeting sit police officers, city employees, and community leaders. Once a week, these men and women work on the city's deadly problems with violence and gangs.
Reach out to some of our youth coaches.
So it may come as a surprise to see this man sitting in the back. This is Terry Barfield. He built up and for many years ran the South Family, a notorious Omaha gang. He has the tattoos and the criminal record to prove it. Convicted of second-degree murder twice.
It was September 2003. Omaha detectives arrived at a shooting at 28th and U, the Southside Terrace Apartments. Prosecutors said Terry Barfield gave the gun to his nephew and urged him to settle a drug score by shooting the victim, Terrell Williams. A jury found Terry Barfield guilty of first-degree murder and sent him to prison for life. But 3 years later, the Supreme Court gave him a new trial because of prosecutor misconduct. The second trial, another conviction, but this time it's second-degree murder. What's striking to some is it's his second-degree murder conviction. In 1993, at the same South Omaha projects, Rufus Jones was gunned down.
Barfield served close to 20 years in prison. Brian Mastery spoke to him in June right before his release. And during that conversation, Barfield made a promise.
When I get out, I plan on, being a motivational speaker and helping out the kids.
He left the prison June 21st. It was Father's Day.
This time when I got my freedom back, my son, Terry Jr., he Googled our name on the internet, and I talked to him, and he said, Dad, I didn't know you was a gang leader. What are you, a Crip or a Blood? And that just touched me right then. When I talked to him, it was like, wow.
So Barfield set out to keep his promise.
Barfield says he's already spoken to a few youth groups already, one of them being the Omaha Boys and Girls Club, another, the YMCA. But with such a violent past, will the community even trust Barfield enough to spread the anti-gang message?
I'm willing to take that chance to try to help this community because I done did so much wrong in this community.
And by his side, Omaha Councilman Ben Gray, who's put his trust in Barfield to keep his promise and to change from the past so clearly inked on his skin.
Reaching out to kids and current gang members is just one step for Barfield. He's also encouraging police to use him as a resource for information.
Well, Aaron, how will Barfield's previous status with the gangs actually help?
Well, it's kind of a top-to-bottom approach because he was a gang leader, city officials believe he can pass messages along directly to other gang leaders, and they hope that kind of message trickles down.
Omaha. Just months after his prison release, Terry Barfield says he wants to make his wrongs right. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Griswold.
And I'm Craig DeGrelli. The two-time convicted murderer walked out of the state pen on Father's Day. Now he says he's turning to gang prevention. Reporter Kelly Bartnick is live with the story, new at 10 tonight. Kelly.
Craig, Terry Barfield's convictions date back to the 1990s. He says this time it was his son's interest in his criminal past that made him want to set things right. So he is working with community members, he says, for his son and for North and South Omaha youth to stay on the straight and narrow. Terry Barfield did bad things. He'll admit it. You can tell by looking at his decades-old mugshot. This is Barfield today.
Take my advice then. Do the right thing. Get out there, man. Get out the gangs.
The convicted killer, a judge once called a tower of terror, has been out of prison just over 2 months now. He is not keeping a low profile, but his message is overwhelmingly different than the words he used to use.
They killing people, this and that and that, for no reason at all. So if they listen, to me from somebody that's already been there and is no better person to talk to than me. So that's why I want to give back.
The former kingpin of South Omaha still bears the battle scars of his gang days, tattoos of a former life he says he will forever work against and steer kids away from.
This is not a magic bullet, but it is a stronger effort at intervention.
Omaha City Councilman Ben Gray has taken the convicted killer under his wing, knowing that people still reach out to him.
To address gang members, not wannabes, not others, but dealing with gang members, because I think that's how we turn this around.
Knowing they are people Barfield and his former cohorts may be able to save from a criminal life.
Yeah, you get certain types of love, but guess what else happens? You end up going to jail, you can get shot, you can get killed. You know, and this is something that they already know, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to stress this to them so they can make the right choice.
Barfield's two convictions include a 1998 second-degree murder conviction. A separate 2003 conviction of life in prison was overturned because of court misconduct. He took a plea in that case. He says he's done so much bad that he just wants to do what he can to be good. Reporting live downtown tonight, Kelly Bartnick, Action
More news
3
now,
News.
an update tonight on a WWT6 News exclusive that we've been on top of for months. A notorious leader of a South Omaha gang back in jail tonight after walking out of prison this past July. We're talking about 49-year-old Terry Barfield.
Last night, a joint operation between the ATF and the Omaha Gang and SWAT unit took Barfield into custody at 144th and Maple. Sources say he tried to purchase a gun off the street.
As Brian Mastery explains tonight, one family member of a victim believes he never should have been out in the first place.
I was overwhelmed, and I was really glad because I feel that more people will probably be safer that way.
Vivian Williams felt relief after we told her Terry Barfield is back in jail, accused of trying to buy a gun from an undercover agent.
When you do wrong, it comes back some type of way, and I just didn't know how long it would be.
What she wouldn't do to bring back her son, though. Terrell Williams was killed in September of 2003 at the Southside Terrace Apartments. A jury found Terry Barfield, the leader of the South family gang, guilty of murder and sentenced him to life. But the Supreme Court gave him a new trial. This time he was convicted of second-degree murder. Barfield spent 10 years in prison before getting out in June. It was the second time he spent time in jail for second-degree murder.
The fact that somebody who is convicted of two separate murders is free walking on the streets of Omaha is outrageous.
The Omaha Police Officers Association also takes issue with Terry Barfield's public declarations of being a changed man. Just days before his release from the penitentiary, he told me this in an exclusive interview.
I'm 48 years old. See, I'm out the gang life and all that stuff. When I get out, I plan on, being a motivational speaker and helping out the kids and letting them know to go another way.
Weeks later, he began counseling teens on the perils of gang life and how to get out.
I'm willing to take that chance to try to help this community because I done did so much wrong in this community.
But 5 months after leaving the jail cell, Terry Barfield is looking at federal gun charges.
I'm not condoning the behavior. I'm not condoning the fact that he purchased a gun. But what I am saying, he is one of literally thousands of individuals who get out with felony records and almost have no place to turn and no help for them at all.
Barfield had called Ben Gray's city council office and left a message yesterday, 4 hours before he was arrested.
If we don't help, if we don't reach out, if we don't try and be supportive, then we guarantee the outcome.
It's okay to try to help any and everybody, but everybody's not willing to accept the help.
In Omaha, Brian Mastery, WWT6 News.
Barfield was booked for felon in possession of a firearm. He's currently being held in the Cass County Jail.
Because this appears to fall under federal guidelines, we did check the most recent statistics, and the average sentence for a conviction is more than 6 years.
More news, a judge sets bond at $1 million for a gang leader turned community activist.
Authorities arrested Terry Barfield Tuesday after they say he tried to buy a gun from an undercover agent. KETV News Watch 7's Dave Roberts joins us live.
Organized the purchase with an ATF agent. The gun, a .45 caliber with magazine. Prosecutors say Barfield also wanted to buy 2 more guns but didn't have the money. So they say he offered to barter guns for marijuana. But when he tried to purchase ammunition, prosecutors say that's when federal authorities moved in. Now, we met Barfield in September when he announced a plan to work in gang intervention, a partnership with Omaha City Councilman Ben Gray. He is the self-admitted founder of the South Family Gang and did time for murder. But his attorney, Glenn Shapiro, says Terry Barfield's paid for his mistakes and to let history be history.
I know law enforcement and others would like to see Mr. Barfield off the streets forever. They thought on the last homicide conviction when he got life plus 50 years, that was achieved, but we had that conviction reversed on appeal, and of course Mr. Barfield was released, much to the dismay of many in law enforcement.
Prosecutors filed the charge against Barfield, second offense felon in possession of a firearm. As a 1B felony, that's the same severity as a second-degree murder charge. If convicted, he faces between 20 years to life in prison. He'll be back in court in 2 weeks. Back to you.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to Omaha, Nebraska with it. All my niggas from Omaha, y'all niggas get in the comment box, let it be known, real G shit. I want to say this is the first time we've been. No, I think it's actually the second time we've been here. We came, my nigga Nico Jenkins, but we're not too familiar with Omaha, Nebraska, so any of y'all niggas out there, we know y'all get it popping. You know about the night gang, all of that shit. Y'all get in the comment box, let it be known. Tell us what the fuck going on around there, for real, for real. The guy that we're going to be covering today is going to be a guy by the name of Terry Barfield, or some people call him Big Bar, if y'all know him, if y'all in that area. And he is the reported founder of the South Family Gang. That's pretty much going to be a gang that operates in and out of Nebraska. I'm going to say they, right now, they like have some kind of blood affiliation. I did see somewhere where they got caught up with a swooping, duping indictment from the government, where they were bringing in weed from Mexico or from California, one of them kind of shits. But that's going to be not Mr. Barfield that we talking about. That's just going to be South Family. But yeah, pretty much you guys seen the rundown. And I covered this not because Terry Barfield by far is not the coldest nigga that we covered on Mobb Ties, but he definitely probably a nigga that should be mentioned. But I really wanted to cover this to kind of bring some dialogue, get some people talking in the comment box, get any of my felons, my predicate felons, in the comment box to see what they think. Now, with this story here, we have a guy that was a lifelong gang member, I would consider, because I guess when he was released, he was 49 years old. He started, or they say he's the alleged founder of the South Family Gang. Anybody that know about the South Family too, y'all from Omaha, y'all get in the comment box, let us know what Mr. Barfield's reputation is like in Omaha. But being that they say he started the gang, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he didn't start that shit just a few years ago. I'm gonna think he probably been doing this shit most of his life. And what I got to prove it is the 2 murder convictions that he was charged with and convicted of, and he was still on the streets. So with that street life and that gang life, especially when you're in it for a long term, one thing about it is you build up enemies, especially when you do 2 homicides. Because a lot of times the nigga that did 2 homicides, he probably shot a couple niggas too. It ain't only like, all right, you know what? Nah, a nigga just, oh man, he just killed, so he just killed 2 people. He never shot at other niggas. He never shot another nigga. He never wounded a nigga. I'm gonna think somebody else probably got some beef with Mr. Barfield besides the 2 families of the people that he murdered. And y'all know how that shit go. Motherfucker, y'all seen these kind of movies, and y'all know how the movies is scripted. Carlito's New Way or some shit. Motherfucker, damn, be running the town or be the nigga and Man, motherfucker, I seen you get rich or die trying, motherfucker. What the hell? I don't even gotta break it down for y'all. Yeah, man, a nigga's son will come out and kill you. Especially when you've been out here OGing in the streets 20 years. A nigga nephew, one of them niggas you smoke, yeah, they family kind of fall in. And guess what? They don't forget that you smoked their uncle and you smoked their daddy, nigga. All that shit. So I'm thinking that my man had to get his hands on some gun, and that's a hand on a gun or some guns. But that's what I want the dialogue from y'all. Now, how is it that somebody's gonna come home from living that life and they not expected to get a gun? Because don't you think they probably gonna feel like they need to protect themselves after living that life? And the consequences to that shit is severe. I want to say for that charge, I think he was out for 6 months. He was out for 6 months after he was charged with life, got the sentence reduced. I think the first murder, I think he got dropped to second degree. The second one, he got charged with life on appeal. It was broken down. He ended up being released. We saw where he was like an advocate in the streets, and I think he did that for like 6 months. Ended up getting caught in that sting operation where he ended up trying to buy the gun and have all the cheese, try to swap out on some smoke, and actually he was talking to an agent. So yeah, shit crazy. They ended up giving him 30 to 38 years for that charge, and that shit just go to show, man, once you escape the Grim Reaper once, motherfucker, do not come around that nigga neighborhood anymore, nigga. Ask OJ or one of them kind of niggas. Man, it's your boy Popalot. We be gonna be back with some more real trill shit. Mobb, ties.